reading the Nordic tales. The Forest Bride, from where I left off on the last video. The mice went scurrying off. As soon they began returning, one by one each, bringing a fibre of flax. When they had spun the flax and carded it, the little mouse wove a beautiful piece of fine linen. It was so sheer that she was able, when she folded it, to put it into an empty nutshell. "Here, Vico," she said. "Here in this little box is a sample of my weaving. I hope your father will like it." Vico, when he got home, felt almost embarrassed, for he was sure that his sweetheart's weaving would shame his brothers. So at first he kept the nutshell hidden in his pocket. The sweetheart of the oldest brother had sent as a sample of her weaving a square of coarse cotton. "Not very fine," the farmer said, "but good enough." The second brother's sample was a square of cotton and linen mixed. "A little better," the farmer said, nodding his head. Then he turned to Vico. "And you, Vico, has your sweetheart not given you a sample of her weaving?" Vico handed his father a nutshell, at sight of which his brothers burst out laughing. "Ha, ha, ha," they laughed. "Vico's sweetheart gives him a nut when he asks for a sample of her weaving." But their laughter died as the farmer opened the nutshell and began shaking out a great web of the finest linen. "Why, Vico, my boy," he cried, "however did your sweetheart get threads for so fine a web?" Vico answered modestly. She rang a little silver bell and ordered her servants to bring her in fibres of finest flax. They did so, and after they had spun the flax and carded it, my sweetheart wove the web you see. "Wonderful," gasped the farmer. "I've never known such a weaver. The other girls will be all right for farmers' wives, but Vico's sweetheart might be a princess." "Well," concluded the farmer, "it's time that you all brought your sweethearts home. I want to see them with my own eyes. Suppose you bring them tomorrow. She's a good little mouse and I'm very fond of her," Vico thought to himself as he went out to the forest. "But my brothers will certainly laugh when they find she is only a mouse. Well, I don't care if they do laugh. She's been a good little sweetheart to me and I'm not going to be ashamed of her." So when he got to the hut, he told the little mouse at once that his father wanted to see her. The little mouse was greatly excited. "I must go in proper style," she said. She rang the little silver bell and ordered her coachman 5. The coach, when it came, turned out to be an empty nutshell, and the 5 prancing steeds that were drawing it were 5 black mice. The little mouse seated herself in a coach with the coachman mouse on the box in front of her, and the footman mouse on the box behind her. "Oh, how my brothers will laugh," thought Vico. But he didn't laugh. He walked beside the coach and told the little mouse not to be frightened, that he would take good care of her. His father, he told her, was a gentle old man and would be kind to her. When they left the forest, they came to a river, which was spanned by a footbridge. Just as Vico and a nutshell coach had reached the middle of the bridge, a man met them coming from the opposite direction. "Mercy me," the man exclaimed as he caught sight of a strange little coach that was rolling along beside Vico. "What's that?" He stooped down and looked, and then with a loud laugh, he put out his foot and pushed the coach, the little mouse, her servants, and her 5 prancing steeds, all off the bridge and into the water below. "What have you done? What have you done?" Vico cried. "You've drowned my poor little sweetheart." The man, thinking Vico was crazy, hurried away. Vico, with tears in his eyes, looked down into the water. "You poor little mouse," he said, "how sorry I am that you're drowned. You were a faithful, loving sweetheart, and now that you're gone, I know how much I loved you." As he spoke, he saw a beautiful coach of gold, drawn by 5 glossy horses, go up the far bank of the river. A coachman in gold lace held the reins, and a footman in pointed cap sat up stiffly behind. The most beautiful girl in the world was seated in the coach. Her skin was as red as a berry and as white as snow. Her long, golden hair gleamed with jewels, and she was dressed in pearly velvet. She beckoned to Vico, and when he came close, she said, "Won't you come sit beside me?" Me?" Vico stammered, too dazed to think. The beautiful creature smiled. "You were not ashamed to have me for a sweetheart when I was a mouse," she said, "and surely now that I'm a princess again, you won't desert me." "A mouse?" Vico gasped. "Were you the little mouse?" The princess nodded. "Yes, I was the little mouse under an evil enchantment, which could never have been broken if you had not taken me for a sweetheart, and if another human being had not drowned me. Now the enchantment is broken forever. So come, we will go to your father, and after he has given us his blessing, we will get married and go home to my kingdom." And that's exactly what they did. They drove at once to the farmer's house, and when Vico's father and his brother's sweetheart saw the princess's coach stopping at their gate, They all came out bowing and scraping to see what such grand folk could want of them. "Father," Greco cried, "don't you know me?" The farmer stopped bowing long enough to look up. "Why, bless my soul," he cried, "it's our Vico." "Yes, father, I'm Vico, and this is the princess I'm going to marry." "A princess, did you say, Vico? Mercy me. Where did my boy find a princess?" "Out in the forest where my tree pointed." "Well, well, well," the farmer said. "Where your tree pointed? I've always heard that was a good way to find a bride." The older brothers shook their heads gloomily and muttered, "Just our luck. If only our trees are pointed to the forest, we too should have found princesses instead of plain country wenches." But they were wrong. It wasn't because his tree pointed to the forest that Vico got the princess. It was because he was so simple and good that he was kind even to a little mouse. Well, after they got the farmer's blessing, they rode home to the princess's kingdom and were married. And they were happy as they should have been, for they were good and true to each other, and they loved each other dearly. The end. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I thought it was just a cute little story, and the moral, of course, is, if you are kind and nice and open, I guess, and curious about the small, simple things in life, like Vico was towards the mouse, you might find great jewels, you might find great riches, potentially. Things that you would never have expected behind the appearance of something that's drab and small and apparently simple. I think that's the moral of the story, and I think it's a really nice story. So do let me know what you think about the story in the comments box below, and if you think there's a moral to be had from the story, I'll be very interested to know. So I hope you enjoyed this New Year's Eve reading, and thank you for watching.